So this is Sania Mirza with me. Again, one of the all-time greatest sporting icons. Now, Sania, I want to ask you, this panel is called From Girl Power to Sporting Icon. Now, you've come a long way in your sporting career. You've had many years behind you. You won so many Grand Slams. Now you're a mother. Do you sometimes miss that girl, who, at one point just blazed across, we saw her everywhere on the Indian screens. She was smashing a ball. She looked like she didn't care. That's what made Sania Mirza so different. She looked like she didn't care. And that's what has always been associated with Sania Mirza, that she's her own person. Like me, don't like me, I'm my own person. Do you miss that girl somewhere? Because now, as we grow older, as we have responsibilities, we tend to calm down, we tend to be more mindful of what we say or how we behave. Do you miss that girl sometimes?
First of all, good evening, everyone. Thank you again. Boria, for always putting something different together. I don't know if there are too many conclaves where you have these many great athletes coming under one roof in any part of this country, and it's always inspiring and great to meet friends like I saw Julandi after so many years. It's always really nice to connect. So good job on doing this for so many years in a row. And between you and me, you're much more persistent than I am, trust me. But to answer your question, Sania Mirza was always somebody who actually cared a lot. I was not somebody who didn't care ever. In fact, to the contrary, I actually care almost too much. But I don't believe that just because you care, it means you cannot put yourself first. It does not mean that you cannot love yourself. It does not mean that you shouldn't have a say or an opinion about things. So I think it can be extremely confusing for people thinking that, she says or she is like this because she doesn't care. It's not that. It's because I do care. It's because I do care about the way I come across, not individually. I want to come across as who I am, the person. So I try to be as transparent as possible. So it has nothing to do with me not caring. It has more to do with me trying to be as honest as possible as a human being. And like you said, that doesn't always go along with, everybody doesn't like that or everybody doesn't not like that. So everybody has an opinion about it. But do I miss that girl? I think somewhere I'm still that girl. I think somewhere I'm still that girl who loves life, and of course you evolve, I would like to call it, rather than say that we change. I think we evolve as human beings as we grow older. I'm definitely not going to feel or behave or say or act the same way that none of us did when we were 18 years old. The same at 39 is different. Responsibilities are different. A lot of things are different around you, but I still feel in the core I'm still that girl. I still feel in my core I'm still that person who believes in her truth, who believes in putting, saying things that I feel are right, saying things, and that does not really have to always be liked by everybody, but sometimes the truth needs to be told. So I'm still that girl. Just maybe at 39 people take you more seriously than they did at 18. You come across at 18, people think you're brash and they think that you've got a certain attitude, but at 39 it's called experience. that's the only difference. So I'm still very much somewhere still that girl, just evolved into obviously a woman and a mom and all the other things that I do along with it.
I completely agree with you. When you are younger, then it's considered brash, you're considered way too opinionated, and then it sits more easy in people's eyes because, yes, she's gathered some years, onto herself. Now, something that you said that I always cared, it's just that I was speaking the truth and people thought I didn't care. Now, is that what comes with being a woman? Because even when women are in positions of responsibility in the corporate world or wherever, after all, we all need to set boundaries. For women, I think setting boundaries comes at a price because, of course, we're supposed to be more accommodating, more nurturing, and we are supposed to take more of what men can more easily and more brusquely brush off. Is it something that comes with being a woman, just being understood as, oh, she doesn't care, she's got an attitude problem?
I mean, there are a few problems that come with being a woman. That could be one of them. But
Lots of problems.
I think that to go step by step, I think that in general, women are naturally more nurturing beings. I do believe that. I believe that there are roles that we play as men and women in this world, and we can't go against nature and say, okay, just because we are going out there and working, we don't have to be nurtured. I don't believe that. I mean, I'm a very big feminist. I'm all about women empowerment, but I still believe there are certain roles that we come in this world to play. Having said that, does that mean that just because I'm out here and talking at a public forum, I can't be nurturing at the same time? No, that's not the truth. Because the whole misconception is that if you're out there and you're a working woman, then maybe you're not focusing too much in your house and not focusing on nurturing your family and so on and so forth. So I do feel that life is a little bit harder to make choices for women, because I feel that there are certain expectations that come from women. For example, there are expectations of getting married, then there are expectations of having children, then there are expectations of how you're bringing up those children, whether you are going to put yourself forward, still follow your dreams, or you're going to put yourself completely. But the expectation is a very silent expectation that comes from generations of conditioning that we live under, that as women, the minute you have a child, you need to, sort of just put yourself at the back and say, okay, that's it, now my child is everything, and the child is everything. I mean, just as much as it is for the father. But when a woman says, no, but I want to go out and actually still follow my dream, then there are questions saying, okay, oh, are you really not going to focus on your family, or you're not going to focus on your home and stuff like that. So, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. We do live in a man's world, and that is a fact. We do live, life is a little bit easier. I think men do get away with a few more things than we can. Having said that, we've come a long way today. We've come into a space where women hold their own. We come into a space where we've got incredible, inspirational women that we can look up to, and those are the women. I mean, I'm happy to be counted in one of them, but not just in the sports field. I'm saying all over, entrepreneurs, businesswomen. And I feel that they have all fought against the odds to be there. Somewhere they've had incredibly supportive parents who thought much ahead of their times and have supported that dream for them, and have helped them become those independent women as young girls, and nurtured them into that. So I feel that there is no reason why I can't be a working woman. I can't, be a sports champion, or somebody who runs a business and everything, and still be a great mother, and still be a great homemaker, and still be someone. Why do I need to choose? I don't need to choose. So you're like, even when you see columns, they say occupation, and homemaker is a separate occupation. I don't believe in that. I believe that homemaker is part of every person. You have to make a home, regardless of whether you're working outside the house or not. So I believe I'm still a homemaker, even though I'm out there working, and I'm sure every woman who's out there working will agree with that.
Thank you, Sania. And, you said so much that, you led me to each one of the other questions that I meant to ask you, so I will now ask you. Now, you said, I was always nurturing, and I don't believe that it's either or, that, I cannot, I can set boundaries, and at the same time, I can be nurturing. It's not it's not an untrue expectation of women that they should be nurturing. Of course, we are nurturing.
No, I think men should be nurturing too. I don't know why that expectation is only out of women.
Most certainly.
I mean, isn't that a normal thing, to be nurturing towards your own children or towards other people? I mean, I think that being, I don't think gender has anything to do with that. It's just the expectation of the gender has to do with that.
Precisely.
And that's the conditioning that
Precisely. And I think the happiest homes are made when mother and father are both nurturing. No, but what I wanted to ask you, Sania, is that going to the motherhood part of it, that, motherhood changes you physically. And I know that you have spoken to Boria about, we have all faced that, putting on weight and, of course, the scrutiny on someone who has been a sports champion, a public figure, an icon. Scrutiny on you was, I'm sure, it was a lot, etc. So, but, while it changes you physically and while we are all, nurturing, does it also, make you more empathetic? I mean, for instance, if you had before walked away, someone's asking, Sania, can I have a picture with you, etc., and you're walking away, and now, does it just change you mentally? You're seeing a small girl waiting there or a small boy, and you're thinking, this is like my son. Let me just stop and take a picture because, he's almost like my son. I might otherwise have walked away. Does it also, change your wiring a lot?
I mean, maybe not for that example. I think that if walking away from a young child, I don't think you need to be nurturing. You just need to be a good person. I think if you're a decent human being, you'll just take a picture with the kid. But I do feel that, sometimes, I mean, we give hundreds and thousands of pictures a day when we're walking. We obviously can't make everybody happy all the time. So that doesn't really count in whether you're a nurturing person or not. But I do feel that once you become a mother, I'm not, and Boria is the only person I think over here who kind of knows me from when I was very, very young, when I wasn't a mother. And I'm not really the most maternal, instinctive person in the world. I was not so much of like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have I was one of those people. But it changed overnight for me. It changed over a period of, very fast. It was not like, oh my God, like some girls and some people really want to have kids. Like that was not who I was. But I think that evolved me into becoming a better person because becoming a mother, honestly, taught me selfless love. And I think every parent will tell you, and you being a parent, you'll know that as well, that it's a love that you cannot explain because it's a love that is so deep and it's so real that you didn't know that you had it in you to be that selfless towards another human being.
Yeah.
We talk about loving our parents and loving our siblings, but there is no love, or even loving your partner, but there is no love that comes, that is that unconditional that comes towards your child. Because I just feel that it's, I'll tell you a small story. So when I gave birth, the first night Izhan threw up a little bit of blood, actually. And until then, so until like 2-3 weeks before I gave birth, I was not really like very broody, I wasn't really like looking at children's clothing and being like, oh, like, so I went to my mom and I said, Mom, do you think like I don't love this child enough? Like, it's very weird, like I'm not feeling it. And my mom said, don't worry, it's going to come to you. The minute you see or hold your child, it's going to change. And I was like, okay. So the first night, so I had a C-section and it was, it was a whatever traumatic day for multiple reasons. And when he threw up a little bit, or he spat a little bit of splatter of blood, I have never felt my stomach drop like it did that night. And that was the night I realized how much and what that love meant to me, and it was nothing. I mean, by God's grace, it was all fine. But the way it just felt like my entire world had fallen apart, and there is nothing in the world that had ever made me feel like that. And there is nothing in the world that makes me feel happier when he comes and gives me a kiss or when he comes and gives me a hug. So that's the kind of love that has evolved me into believing that I am capable of a love that is so selfless. And it was not something I needed to work on. It came very naturally to me as a person. Because as athletes, usually we are quite selfish people. We wake up every single morning and tell ourselves how good we are. We wake up every single day of our lives and say, oh, we're going to be better than we were yesterday. And we wake up every single day and we say, oh, we're the best in the world. We want to be best in the world. I mean, it's borderline narcissistic. But the fact is that that is what is required for us to be the best in the world. So from going from that to then saying, I want everything for this little human being more than what I want for myself is a huge evolvement for me as a human being.
Thank you.
I had water. Okay. Sorry, I was just fasting, so I broke my fast.
Okay, so you talked about your parents a little bit. I think your mother who, advised you at that time. Now, I remember seeing an interview where you said that there was no pressure on me from my parents while they supported me completely because after, correct me if I'm narrating the incident wrong, but after every match that I played, whether I won or I lost, I got an ice cream. Is that correct? So I remember I was actually seeing that post a day when, again, I have a daughter, and, that was a day when, that was after a few days when she was having her exams, and I thought, oh God, have I been too hard on her? We always have these pulls, have I been too hard? Did I scold her when she was, when she made that careless mistake? So, I thought that was an instructive interview for me. So is it the same with you, with your son? Do you follow, or are you more lenient, or what are you?
So he's the first boy in our family in a long time. So we are also kind of learning how to deal with boys. Boys are a little bit more rebellious than girls are, and they don't really, just listen. No doesn't really mean no most of the time. No has to be said about 17 times before it's a no. So boys are a little bit different, especially now. He's 7.5, and he's getting very confident. He plays football. He loves football and he's kind of good at it. So he wants to challenge you a little bit, and I think that's a little bit of a nature instinct of being a boy. But I do try to follow, but honestly, there is nobody, because he's the first grandchild in our family, nobody says no to him. So I have no choice but to be the only strict person in his life. So I'm not really, I wouldn't call myself a huge disciplinarian, but I do think that somewhere it is my responsibility to be a little bit more harder than everybody else, because everybody else is kind of very lenient with him, But when it comes to the pressure part of it, I feel like he's still quite young. Yeah. I don't really necessarily care too much about the fact that whether he's going to become a champion one day. My life doesn't depend on that. I'm happy for him to do whatever he wants to do. He plays tennis, he plays football, he plays the drums. He can do whatever he wants. He's, honestly, he's very, very inclined towards football than he is to anything else. So I actually, funnily enough, I had sent Sunil Chetri a couple of his videos of scoring, and Sunil told me he's actually very good, which I didn't tell him because he's already super confident about it. But he's, I feel that my parents found a beautiful boundary and a beautiful line where they knew exactly how much to push, which felt enough to inspire me, but didn't push it enough for me to feel the pressure of everything that was going into me becoming a tennis player. And I feel that I was able to enjoy my journey because of that. I didn't feel like, my God, like if I lost this match, my entire world was falling apart. Even though it might have been for them, because they were putting every single thing that they had into it, but they never let me feel it. So I would love to emulate that if it ever comes to it, whether it's to do with studies or whether it's to do with him, playing any kind of sport. I would love to try to learn a little bit from my parents for that.
Thank you, Sania. Now I'll change track a little bit. Now, Sania, you've had a long career, and as a woman, and we do this panel on women's health every year at Trailblazers, where we talk about, talking about your periods in public, or talking about, how do you tell your coach, or if your performance drops, how do you deal with the media? We've had athletes coming and talking about those issues here. Now, what has changed since you first started playing, and now that you have your own academy? Is there more open conversation on these issues? Do you ever, as a mentor, or do you have programs in your academy which specifically addresses, girls, adolescents? Because there's so many things happening in their body. Can we have your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think what has really changed is the fact that we can talk about it, that I think we can talk about it in a public forum. I think that, PCOD, PCOS, stuff like that has become extremely, people have knowledge about it. They don't just, when people are putting, in fact, I am running just started an initiative a couple of months ago with, called the Next Set. And it is basically we're trying to put a fund together for the next generation. That's basically what it is. We started with tennis. We want to venture out into other sports. It's a women's only, girls only initiative. And right now the tennis camp is going on as we speak in Hyderabad, this week. And I had a couple of girls actually come up to me and speak to me about this, saying that, they've put on some weight and, she had certain issues with PCOD, PCOS. And I feel that there's so much more awareness about it. And I think the first great step is that we're able to talk about it. I think, people talk about how women have more upsets. Like in tennis, people talk about how there are more upsets in women's tennis than there are in men. People don't know that maybe it's her first day of her cycle. I mean, it could be it. It could be her second day of her cycle. It could be anything. And there are so many hormonal fluctuations that do happen in a woman's life at every stage of her life. Starting from her teenage years to going into, in her 40s and her 50s. There's constant fluctuations. There's constant changes that she's adapting to, which is unfathomable actually if you go into the science and look at it. So it's incredible that women still go out there and put their bodies on the line no matter what they are feeling internally, no matter what is happening hormonally, and no matter what is happening, externally as well because of those hormones. Women are still out there competing and giving their best, and I think that's why it is very important to talk about the fact that it's very normal. It's very normal to feel this way. It's very normal to get help. It's very normal to talk about it, and it's very normal to try to go out there and find the best solution for yourself.